What's up, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to Deconstructing Christianity. I'm your host, Coach Renz, and today we're going to be continuing our ongoing discussion about how the Bible is not a history book. It is not historically accurate. That history runs in contradiction to what the Bible actually says, and that is going to be. We're going to continue this discussion. We're going to be live today until about 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. I know there are a lot of lives going on right now. Hopefully you guys are enjoying those, but hopefully you come on over. As I was prepping for this today, as always, not always, but I was listening to another live today, and Christians were getting smoked. They were getting smoked. We see we can have some smoking today, other than my cigar. So today we continue our discussion on, is anything in the Bible, how 99% of the Bible is historically inaccurate, that it does not match history. I have yet to have someone come up here and take any of the prompts and prove that the biblical story is an actual accurate story. I want to thank everybody who's a member of the channel, everyone who subscribes to the channel, whichever we're on Facebook and YouTube over here, TikTok over there. Anybody who is a member, thank you for being the members who hold subscriptions on Facebook and YouTube, and fan clubs and TikTok, and those who give gifts. I want to thank everybody for that. And if you super chat anything, I definitely will read them out loud. Even if you super chat on YouTube after the fact, I'll try to read those on the next podcast. So I want to thank everybody for that. We are hopefully going to get some good conversations going on today about, and hopefully we'll stick. One of the reasons why we're continuing this discussion instead of going to the New Testament this week, because I like to kind of alternate. I got like three main subject matters that I alternate, is because everybody on Thursday kept getting off subject. They want to talk about something else. Hopefully we can stick to most of the subject matter today, and actually talk about the fact that there's just very little in the Old Testament or even in the New Testament that is historically accurate. Of course you got places, they named Jerusalem. Well, shit. The comic books name New York. Doesn't make it accurate. Doesn't mean that the comic book is real. So I'm looking for some real hardcore data from some Christians or Bible believers who literally thinks that this shit happened for real. That the Tower of Babel happened, that Joseph was in Egypt, that Joshua conquested all that territory that he claimed that he conquested. Like, in order for Joshua, let me give you an idea of that one. So Joshua claims that in the book of Joshua, it claims that he conquested the Levant and that the tribes of Israel went and they claimed this land. Well, according to history, if you would have to place Joshua either in the 1500s BCE, 1400s BCE, and at the latest, the 1200s BCE. But all of that territory was controlled by Egypt or vassal states of Egypt during that entire time frame. At no point in time did it change hands until the sea people or the Phoenicians came down and they won some decisive battles against the Egyptians. The Egyptians pulled out of the Levant, and then the Bronze Age collapse happened around 1000 BCE. So it's impossible that Joshua conquested these lands while Egypt was thoroughly in control of these lands. Plus, we have the fact that the Amarna and what we have are things like the Amarna letters that show that these were other kingdoms and that the Israelites never conquered it. And the first time we even hear of an Israelite is in the Merneptah Stela, where Merneptah very clearly said that he destroyed this nomadic group of people called Israelites. So the whole Joshua narrative, the whole Exodus, Moses, Joseph in Egypt is false. Abraham's existence does not match history. And the Bible itself has an anachronism concerning Abraham and when he was walking around. There's about when do we place Abraham? Flood was around 2600 BCE, and Abraham's a couple years. So Abraham's around 2200 BCE. And if Abraham had existed, according to the story concerning Abraham had this whole deal with Abimelech, right? Abimelech did not come into existence until the 1200s BCE. How could Abraham have done that when we don't even have anything about the Philistines in the Levant until 1200s? Until 1200, there is no Philistines. So no, couldn't have happened. So for the believers out there, you got a huge uphill battle that has to go beyond just your belief. And that's a weird thing to me, that how do you believe in something that you know the facts point differently? Like, you literally have to turn a blind eye to that. You literally have to just say, I don't give a damn about facts. Yet you declare facts for almost every other thing in your life. I bet you wouldn't work for somebody and then they tell you, oh, just believe that I'm going to pay you. You're going to need some proof of that payment. But yet you're out here believing this Bible because somebody beat it into one of your ancestors, and then it was passed down. And now you just believe it because you were born either into it or into a society that promotes that particular belief system. It's truly a sad thing how people just accept whatever teachings they were giving as a baby from people who never actually did a comparative research on any of this information. It's unbelievable to me. It's amazing. Shit. I'm gonna have a hard time. I got two people just popped up. This was the first one. I know who the second one is. You have to accept it. Oh, I guess that was accidental. There's a Hebrew Israelite guy. I couldn't read his name, but he didn't accept it. Anunnaki.
How you doing, sir?
Very good. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Are you a believer? Well, first, are you?
No, not really.
You're not a believer. Are you over 21?
You said what? You cut out for a second.
Are you over 21?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So you're not a believer, so you don't think any of these stories happen?
Creation, Adam and Eve, not the way that they say it did, no. Or at all.
Now, because of your name on here.
It's just a name. It's not. It don't mean nothing.
Okay, I was wondering if it meant that you believe. That. I was going to ask you if you believe the Anunnaki story.
Okay. Some people get mad and they start asking questions about it. I said, it's just a name, sir.
You know what? I understand that. It's just like I wear these, and people want to ascribe something to it, and I'm like, it don't mean anything.
They think you're in the Illuminati or some shit. It's like, no, I just like it. I wear a cross, but I don't really believe in that. I just think it looks cool.
Yeah, and I do not even have a problem with that. It's just a piece of jewelry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what do you want?
It's expensive too. I don't like how it looks.
So what do you think about the subject matter?
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of lies on these, and a lot of times when people go into this conversation, right, people who are like super educated on the Bible, all the stories and stuff like that, all these like little minute details, right, they'll like go into all these like super detailed things about why this didn't happen, about all these, contradictions. But for me, it's like, I can just get a singular story, for example, like Noah's flood, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I just automatically know it's bullshit because number one, there's no sediment deposits across the earth that can show that. It just doesn't make sense. There's not even enough water on Earth to cover, the tops of like Mount Everest and all these mountains. it just don't make much sense to me. Like, how the hell are you getting every animal, in that small of a space? Like, all these like little things that just don't make sense to me. Yeah, things like that. Just like, come on, it seems too far fetched. Like a guy on his boat, come on.
No, I agree.
It seems so stupid because I don't know. Yeah, it just don't make sense to me. Like just that one story, for example, it just doesn't make sense. And, I've had people say like, have you ever heard about what's it called? It's in Eastern Washington. There's like some flood thing, like the Missoula floods or something like that. Have you heard of that?
I probably have read it before, but I don't remember right offhand.
Yeah, so there's like instances of like huge floods happening across certain regions, right? But like I said, it wasn't a global thing, right? In different parts of the world. But at the same time, those floods are not of biblical proportions at all, too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe there was a big flood in the middle, and that region, the Middle East. Maybe people think, that's, I don't know. It just don't make much sense to me. The geology doesn't add up.
No, it doesn't. And I mean, we can look at that the people, since you got Anunnaki written on your thing, that there are Mesopotamian stories based on the Anunnakis of a flood that they created. And these stories would have been passed down to these Canaanite people who become Israelites.
Yeah. And the flood, right? So according to, because people like you using what's the word? Genealogy to like trace back things to see about when things will happen. So the flood, they say it happened about was it 4000 BC, 2000 BC, something like that, right?
Around
like
2600 BC.
But if we look, even in other parts of the world, right? Native Americans, they were chilling here. There's no not every single tribe has stories about floods and stuff like that. People were chilling in different parts of the world without outside of the Middle East, and they had documented history. So obviously, if certain groups of people aren't talking about these huge floods or things like that, obviously it probably didn't happen.
Right. No, you're right. And you got a lot of societies who didn't have a flood at all. And then you got others who had river floods, others who had lake floods, not even worldwide floods. And then none of their flood stories are timed to be around the same time frame either. Like some of the flood stories are older, some of them are younger. It's like it's all over the map as far as when these things happen and who was saved and how they were saved. Those things differ.
What I like to ask people is this. So obviously, all these, the Abrahamic religions at least, right? They started, in generally the same area, right? And I'm thinking, right, if you want someone to like, how would people in, I don't know, like Australia or North America, South America even know about this? And I've heard people say, oh, they had prophets go to every corner of the globe and spread the message and stuff. But there's no accounts of this. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. How would people outside of that region that like even know about it? You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
So
it's too confusing.
This is the one that I like the most, is that they say that because Noah's 3 sons are the ones who, with their wives, repopulated the earth, then the children would have went around knowing this story, and then they just, when they got to these other lands, they just started telling the stories differently. That's the one I get the most.
Yeah, and I mean, look at the fossils and stuff. We got a bunch of other hominin species, right? We got Neanderthals, Denisovans, Homo heidelbergensis, Homo florens. We got all these other human-like species and stuff like that. Like, where do they go in the story? And obviously we know, through science and stuff like that, if y'all want to believe in that, we didn't just come from the ground and stuff like that. We kind of evolved over a long period of time, from other types of like human-like species. So it just doesn't make sense. It's too like, I don't know, like people would rather believe in like mythological stories and stuff like that, and it's indoctrination, especially for lots of certain groups of people. A lot of this stuff was spread through conquest and stuff like that, kind of forced onto a lot of people. So a lot of craziness involved in it.
No, I agree with you 100%. I agree 100% because these stories are just all made up stories and from one group of people to try to justify their existence.
Yeah, I mean, my parents, like, they're super Christian. Like, even when I was growing up in the church and stuff, I never like it was crazy. Even from a young age, I was like, it's kind of bullshit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it don't make sense to me. And I would ask like the authority figures, like inside the church, like sometimes questions about like how do you explain black holes or how do you explain this, and they would say like the most like nothing could come from destruction, blah 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 blah. The Big Bang didn't happen because an explosion can create. It's like, come on, that's not like, you know, they just they don't really know what they're talking about. You know what I mean?
No, I
And
understand.
then, like I said, and some of these stories are crazy, man. Like, what's that dude? Was it Abraham who had to like sacrifice his son or something to prove
Yeah,
God or something like that? Yeah,
Abraham.
like, you know, stuff like that. It's kind of weird. Well, why the hell are you sacrificing your son because someone said, like, I don't know, like all that stuff's kind of weird. Like,
Yeah, because child sacrifice was normal to them.
That happens in the Bible, like a lot of grape, a lot of G-side stuff like that. Like, and in some instances, it's, you know, even justify like, you know, slavery and stuff like that inside the Bible. It's like, come on, I can't rock with that.
No, and I'm glad that you can, because you know I started questioning this thing when I was 9 years old, and it took me
from a young age.
Yeah, and it took me until I was about 36, 35, 36 to completely walk away from it, because it was just, you know, it was so ingrained into you as a child. But you know, you try not to fight it. You want to be part of the group, but the more and more you study this and you start doing comparative studies, you realize that this stuff is a bunch of bullshit. And you know, so you walk away with it. But most people don't do that. Most people stay with it.
Yeah, and it's a hard conversation to have, especially with friends. Like, even recently, you know, I was at a little, you know, get together and stuff, and then like, you know, later at night and stuff, you know, all these deep questions start coming out, and people start asking about, oh, do you believe in God and stuff like that? I'm like, no. And then like, I feel like people get upset when you don't, like certain people, they get upset when you don't believe in God, and then you start giving your reasoning and stuff, and then they can't really give like an actual reason why you should. It just like, you know, have faith, man. You know what I mean? And it's like, you don't want to go too deep into and talk about like, like, you know, all this stuff, because it might make people uncomfortable, especially if you're not if you're from certain places on the planet. The only reason you're even Christian is because you kind of got forced to do it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that makes a lot of people uncomfortable knowing that, because a lot of people want to think that, you know, it's because, you know, they think it, not because, you know, they were taught it. You know what I mean? They think believing in God is an independent thing, when in reality it's taught, just like damn near everything else is taught.
Yeah.
You're not. You don't. The reason we know things is not because, you know, I just pull it out of my ass. It's because, you know, people teach me. You know, I live life and I gain information through, you know, other people and stuff like that. It's not an independent thought.
No, I'm with you. I agree. So, but I appreciate you, man. Let me get some more people up here.
All right, thank you. Have a good one, sir.
All right, you have a great one. Let's see. I think it's D. I don't know what that symbol means, but we're gonna put you up here. Okay, he's not there anymore. I think the next person was 10 Toes Grounded, and then Uzi. 10 Toes Grounded.
Hey, what's up, man?
How you doing, man?
Hey, I just randomly scrolled and seen your live, and I agree with everything you say. I don't see this message being pushed too much. I want to say, I'm sure you're familiar. A lot of this comes around like 300, 250 years before the Christ story forms.
Right. Yes.
And it's a lot of Zoroastrian, Sumerian, Egyptian, Greek motifs and Pesher.
No, you're absolutely right.
What I want to say is, I think also a smoking gun. There's a scholar, Yotan Adler, who talks about Elephantine Island, which would have been around the time of the Exodus out of Egypt. And there's no archaeological evidence of practicing Sabbath or not eating pork or following the Torah. They did worship Yahweh, but it was in a pantheon of a bunch of gods. That's the earliest root of Yahweh, a polytheistic God. And Yahweh's goal's always been total world salvation, total world domination. What I think a lot of people need to put together is Christ played that role. If you look at the earliest writings, because Paul imagined him through scripture and revelations, Jesus was the tool that opened the religion up to the Gentiles and had them abandon their faith and grafted them into the Jewish religion. The Gospels made it so there's a historical figure, and now we're talking about a real, true resurrection. But when you look up what Paul says in Galatians and Romans, it was a cosmic being who you didn't see, but you will believe. And you exposing that all of this Old Testament shit is all not true. It completely contradicts that he fulfilled any Old Testament prophecy. There's no such thing as any Old Testament prophecy. So it shows that that's not true. I believe I'm a mythicist when it comes to Christ. I don't believe he existed. To say somebody named Joshua existed in Galilee, like obviously somebody did, but a supernatural human's a whole different argument than that. So I just agree with you. I appreciate it. And I think your argument shows that the story of Jesus doesn't make sense anyways.
No, it doesn't. And I don't even think Jesus existed as a individual person.
Me neither.
It's just a compilation of multiple people and ideas and motifs.
And Bar Ehrman did irreversible damage to say, like, they're always like, oh, even scholars know that there wasn't human. It's horrible. And then they say the same Tacitus, Josephus, Pliny, when none of these people directly mentioned Jesus, they were aware of the Christ movement. And even that's arguable.
Now, you know so that's my subject tomorrow.
So I'm following you now, bro.
That's the subject tomorrow, where I deal with the New Testament and that Jesus never existed. But you're right. Bart Ehrman, even though I respect a lot of the things that he said, the fact that he says he's a historical person, people don't realize he has to. He's over the biblical studies department for the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. His job would be on the line if he came out and said that Jesus wasn't a historical figure. So
I totally agree. I've seen a thing from a lot of people who said, when you're a scholar in school for this day, there's some, I forget what it's called, but you kind of need to admit that he's an historical person. It's not really publicly accepted yet to even call it out as mythicism, but that's completely changing with all of these new studies and people coming out saying how, like you're saying right now, there's no archaeological evidence to prove any of this Old Testament scripture. It's all just Jewish literature that came out 300 years before Christianity, stolen motifs.
Yeah.
This is the real like truth right here, in my opinion. And whoever said you're just gonna bring on people you agree with, he didn't know I agree with him, bro. He just brought me on. I could have debated him.
Oh, I don't know what people are gonna say when they come on here, unless they've made a bunch of comments. I have no idea. So, they just have the weight they turn. A lot of people are mad because I don't do multiple people at the same time, but I don't care. It becomes a whole clusterfuck of conversation. So I don't really do that.
It gets tiring. Like, people don't want to hear, like, Christians don't want to hear the contradiction arguments or the evidence arguments because it's all faith-based and they don't care about the contradictions. I think people need to understand the role of Jesus. Like, he started as a cosmic figure who had the spirit of Yahweh, whose goal was to conquer the Gentiles and have you abandon your faith and graft you into the Jewish religion. That's the most important part. That nowadays it's complete. People are saying replacement theology or Christ is different than Yahweh, and all these different like heretical ways of thinking. Like, if you're a true Christian who reads the Bible, you understand the role of Jesus. And it's horrible, man. It's horrible. This is what has us trapped.
Yeah, it does, and I agree with you on that one. I don't. Until we get, I'm glad that more and more people are seeing their way through this stuff and that more and more information is coming out so that people starts to walk away from it, especially the younger generation. But even the people of my generation have been walking away from it. And so it'll become acceptable for people to be able to say that he's not a historical figure. And like when I was offered scholarships to certain biblical seminaries, you had to sign a document that says that no matter what you find out, you're still going to support the doctrine that the school pushes. Which is why I never went to seminary, because I was like, no, if I see that information is wrong, then it's fucking wrong. I'm not going to support that. But yeah, so we are in agreement, and I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, bro. I just wanted to come up there and say that, bro. I follow you. I'm going to tune in. Appreciate it.
All right, appreciate it. Let's see. I think I saw Uzi next, and then Cynical Hamilton, but I didn't see if Bernetta or Cool, which one of y'all came up next after that. So we're going to try to stay in order as much as we possibly can. Uzi for real. Hello?
Yeah.
All right. Are you over 21?
Yes. Yeah, man.
All right. And are you a believer?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're on the side of the street.
Hold on. I'm outside here. Let me go inside.
Yeah. That way we can hear you clearly.
Yeah.
So what's your proof that any of the things listed happened?
Well, it's archaeological findings.
Which ones?
The city of David, the tomb of
The city of David. What, Jerusalem? The fact that Jerusalem exists?
no, the archaeological structures of the temple that was destroyed by the Romans is still there.
What temple?
You know, when Jesus said, "You see this temple, none of these bricks shall be left on top of one another," it's still there. The foundation is still there.
Yeah,
the Romans razed it to the ground. It's still there.
You're talking about stories that was written after the Romans had destroyed the temple, so that doesn't make Jesus. That's not a prophecy. That is, I'm going to reread. I'm gonna read this guy into the story because we saw the temple destroyed.
Okay, but you're saying this thing didn't exist or anything, but I'm showing you that the city of David was in existence.
So just having Jerusalem. So if the fact that New York exists, that means Spider-Man exists.
No, but if say 2,000 years, people are saying the history of America is foolishness, you're gonna be like, wait, this is the blueprint of the whole layout of the city that was written 2,000 years ago.
It's relative. It's relative to what they're saying. If they're saying that, oh, America had superheroes running around in New York and in Chicago and all these other cities, just because those cities existed doesn't mean those superheroes existed.
Well, you can say that, but if the evidence said New York have high crane building skyscrapers 20 how many feet in the sky, and you can show that that existed.
Okay, but does that mean Spider-Man existed?
That's a straw man you're trying to bring up, man.
It's not a straw man. That's exactly what you're bringing. You're really creating the straw man by saying that. I didn't say that Jerusalem never existed. You see Jerusalem up there? Does it say that Jerusalem never existed?
You're saying Egypt, Joseph in Egypt, Moses, Exodus, Joshua, all of these things. But even Jericho, where the ruins of Jericho that Joshua did, those things are still in existence.
Okay, you brought up Jericho. Archaeological evidence shows that the city of Jericho was without its walls in and around the 16th, 17th century BCE. Joshua could have not come to Jericho until late in the 15th century BCE at the earliest, and the 1200s at the latest. Those walls were already down by the 16th century, and they were never reestablished until around the 10th century. So 10th, 11th century. So Joshua could have never did his horn blowing thing to knock the walls down.
Oh, well, that's between, I'm gonna say yes, you're gonna say no. So
I'm going on archaeology. But you mentioned archaeology. That's what the archaeology shows. It's not me.
I'm going off historical documents.
I'm going off actual archaeology that shows that it was most like an earthquake that crumbled the walls of Jericho at minimum 100 years before Joshua.
Thank you. It was an earthquake that brought it down.
100 years before, at minimum 100 years before Joshua.
And okay, well, you can say that, but I have historical documents, people who actually written it down, in those times that said it was this event that brought it down. But you're gonna rely on some scientists gonna dig up some dirt and say, okay, let me carbon date and do all of this.
So when was the people who saw the walls fall down, did they write it? Or was it written hundreds of years after and they claimed that the people knocked it down?
Whether or not, I understand the question. Whether or not it have eyewitness, I can write about 9/11 and I was not there. But I can write about it because there is word of mouth that come down to me that say this happened on 9/11. I wasn't there. Just like a great event as Joshua knocking on the wall, that can be spoken about for many generations.
So your source is hundreds of years of telephone game instead of your source being actual scientific data. So instead of you going back and looking at a video to see 9/11 happen, you depend on people just saying it instead of an accurate source. You want to listen to people.
Yeah, I can listen to eyewitness support. I can listen to eyewitness
of
9/11.
Okay, let's roll with that one. So some of the people who claim who are now talking about 9/11, they say that the United States flew their own planes into the Twin Towers and into the Pentagon and so on and so forth. So if you repeat that and write that, so you will believe that the United States destroyed its own places?
That's another I would say a kind of straw man.
Do you know what straw man means?
Yeah, you're building up an argument and attacking it. That's what you're doing.
You don't understand what a straw man means, I don't think. So
I know what a straw man means because what you're doing now.
No, my guy. I took exactly what you said. You said that you would take eyewitness accounts, but we got people who are claiming to be eyewitness accounts, people who are claiming to have studied it, watched the videos, and they are saying that the United States itself flew their own planes into the buildings. That is exactly what you are saying when you say that, oh, here are people who said that the walls fell down because they blew some horns, instead of the people who can look at the way the walls crumbled, date the time frame that it crumbled, which places it well before Joshua.
Well, even by your presentation right now, what you're saying is the wall came down by an earthquake, and that's exactly what happened.
No, the wall came down because of sound waves.
But it's still vibration brought it down.
Yeah, but there's a difference between. Okay, let me explain something.
Whether or not
hold on.
Shake or the wall shake, vibration that brought it down. So you're not even contradicting what's in the Bible.
No, so here's the deal. When an earthquake brings walls down, the walls either fall this way together or that way together. When sound waves, yes, they do. They're gonna fall in one direction or another. That's how we know if an earthquake destroys something. That's one of the ways we know an earthquake destroys something, a building, or in this case, a wall. Now, sonic technology was relatively new to that degree when I served in the Marine Corps. But with sonic technology, what you would see as far as the destruction is that you will see the sound waves destruction that happens over the whole wall or the pinpointed area. You can tell where the sound waves hit because it will have a different type of destruction layer than if an earthquake happened. If an earthquake happened, the destruction layer is going to be from the vibration at the bottom. That's why they fall one way or the other. Sound waves is going to have a destruction layer that's going to be over a larger spacing of the wall up and down, and you will see that destruction. So they do not destroy things the exact same way.
It's not necessarily, man.
Have you ever researched how sound waves can destroy a building? How they affect stone?
Anyway.
No, not anyway. Not anyway. No. Have you ever studied how sound waves affect structures?
No.
Then how can you justifiably say that sound waves and earthquakes destroy things at the same way?
I did not say that.
Yes, you did. I said that. I said this.
I said not necessarily.
How can you even say not necessarily if you don't know how sound waves affect buildings?
No, you are telling me that earthquake destroy a building is gonna fall one direction, and I'm saying not necessarily. But anyway, that's
why have you ever researched how earthquakes affect stone walls?
This is what Christians do, you know. They run away from their own subject.
No, I'm not running away from. You're running away from it.
You're clinging on to sound waves and earth.
But
the fact is
because you made the statement that they affect the same way. It does not.
Okay, whatever.
And you're saying that an earthquake is how it happened, and that wasn't how the story goes. Was it an earthquake? Was it sound waves?
If whether or not it was Joshua punching the building down during the time of Joshua, that building came down.
No, it didn't.
That is what you're trying to run away from.
No, it didn't. I already told you that.
You're trying to run away from that, brother.
Because I already established that it occurred at least 100 years before Joshua.
And if you know, as a person, as a scientist, can say archaeological evidence or the archaeological finding gonna say it's 100 years before Joshua.
Yep.
That is basically in the time frame of Joshua.
But no, it can't be basically. It got to be in the time.
Yeah, in scientists, it's gonna be in the range, like it's gonna be a range. So what you're giving is a range when it comes to those numbers.
But the range,
so you're actually agreeing.
The range, you're not understanding. The range ends at least 100 years before Joshua. You understand what I'm saying?
Before and 200 and 100 after is the time of Joshua.
No. When is the time of Joshua? When was the time of Joshua?
I don't understand the question exactly.
When was the time of Joshua? How do you date the time of Joshua? When did it happen? Did it happen in 1200 BCE or did it happen in 1500 BCE?
I think it's 1200.
The walls of Jericho were down no later than 1600 BCE.
I'm not sure. I'm not gonna answer that.
Then if you can't answer the time frame of Joshua positively, how can you then say that the 1600 BCE is in and around the time frame of Joshua?
Well, what I'm saying, there is documents. People been writing records long before Joshua. People been documenting things in books long before Joshua, and they record these events.
What books before Joshua? What books were documented before Joshua?
I mean, people were writing way before Joshua.
Who wrote?
The Egyptians were writing.
Did they write about the walls falling? I'm glad you brought the Egyptians up. The Egyptians were writing that they were in control of the Levant, Israel, during that time frame of the 1500s, 1600s, and even in the 1200s. They were in control of the Levant. Did they write about the walls of Jericho falling down by Joshua?
I doubt it.
They didn't. They didn't.
Why would they? Why would they?
Do you
think you go to
oh my God.
Iran? If you go to Iran right now, an enemy of the United States, do you think they're over there writing about 9/11? It's not happening, brother.
Okay, do you see how you are being sir, what you are doing is called being intellectually dishonest. You first state that other people were writing at that time frame, and then you brought up the Egyptians. So I asked you, was the Egyptians writing about that? And then all of a sudden it's like, no, do you think they would be writing about that? So let's go back. Who was writing at the time frame that wrote about this? Who documented it?
The children of Israel wrote it down.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
When did they write it down?
We still have the records of them writing.
When did they write it down?
They wrote it during the time of Joshua.
No, they didn't.
Okay, sir.
The earliest writing of the Jewish people, who would become the Jewish people, doesn't even start to happen until around 600 BCE.
So you want to say Moses didn't write anything?
Moses didn't write nothing.
Moses didn't write nothing.
What documentation that shows that Moses wrote anything?
Did Moses have the commandments, last statutes and commandment for the Israelites?
Well, he didn't exist, but did Moses write it? Prove that Moses wrote it. How do you know Moses wrote it? When did Moses write it?
Okay, whether or not Moses wrote it, it was written down during the time of Moses.
By who? Where's your documentation that proves that it was written down during the time frame of Moses when everything in linguistic archaeology and in regular archaeology shows that wasn't shit written down until around 1600. I mean 600 at earliest 700 BCE.
Come on, man. That's not smart. You're being intellectually dishonest because you know people were writing long before Moses.
Where is your proof that Moses wrote anything outside of your Bible?
It is inexistent archaeological evidence.
No, where is it?
Of Moses' writings.
Where is it? Like if I wanted to say that we have late first century writings of the Gospel of Mark, then we can point to actual text that we found. If we want to say John, I think John is P52 is John. We can find a 2nd century P52 of John, which is the oldest documentation that has any recollection to John that we have. P52. So I can pinpoint that. What documentation do you have that dates back to 1200 BCE by Israelites?
All right. Let me ask you a question before this question.
No, answer that question. What documentation do we have from 1200 BCE?
We have the Torah.
We do not have a 1200 BCE Torah.
Well, let me answer this now. Was there people writing, doing records keeping during the time of Moses? Was it the Egyptians? Were they doing writings?
The Egyptians were.
So you're saying only the Egyptians were doing it, but this civilization over here was not?
We don't have any proof that they were. We don't even have a proof that they.
You're just denying the proof, bro. You're just denying the proof.
What's the proof? You haven't given any.
We have the Torah.
You have a 1200 BCE Torah?
Of course we have it.
Oh, really? Then, sir, you have the greatest art. Where is it?
It's in some museum somewhere.
What museum? It's in a museum somewhere. What museum has a 1200 BCE Torah? I'm clipping this shit.
Sorry, hold on.
That dude said we have a 1200 BCE Torah.
How old is the Dead Sea Scroll?
Dead Sea Scrolls only go back to about 200 BCE.
Well, let me fact check you on that one. I mean, I don't want to hold up your life too long, man. You can move on to other people, but I just want to say that to you that there are archaeological evidence, but you're gonna deny it. No matter how it hits you in your face, you're still gonna deny it.
Unless you got some proof that shows otherwise from the facts that I know. And you said there's a 1200-year-old Torah. The oldest complete Torah that we have dates back to 1155 to 1255 CE.
Repeat. You said the Dead Sea Scroll are approximately 3rd century BCE,
which would be 200 BCE. So what 1200 BCE do you have?
Well, so
you're missing 1,000 years.
All right, man. You not gonna accept it, but I just want to present it to your audience.
Now, so the oldest, like I said, the oldest thing we have that has anything to do with the Torah was written around 600 BCE.
That's what we have.
Yes.
But it came from somewhere. It came from somewhere.
It could come from you just making it up out your mind.
No, it's archaeological evidence also that in Egypt that the children of Israel were in slavery over there.
What archaeological evidence do you have of Egypt, of slavery in Egypt?
There is too many.
Well, name one.
Too many.
Name one.
Hold on. Because that one, you're not going to accept it, but.
I'm going to accept that you say it, but I'm going to tell you where it came from. And I'm going to tell you who said it and why it is false information.
I'm talking about I'm talking about writings in the Egyptian records.
Writings in Egyptian.
Yes, there's Egyptian records that show that the Israelites were in slavery.
Which record is that? There's only two that you're gonna name. Which one you gonna name?
Well, right now I'm looking at. I just go with it and say. There's archaeological drawings of slaves, actual slaves in the records of Egypt.
Yeah, Egypt had slaves, but you got to prove that they were Semitic slaves. They were Israelite slaves. Which ones were? So which?
That's what I say. Accept nothing, man.
No, I accept. I accept. No, I accept proof. You just don't want to accept that you don't have any actual documentation that proves. Okay, so if you're saying that, oh, because Egyptians drew images of them having slaves, then that means that it was Israelites. A lot of the drawings that they show of Egyptian slaves, some of them are people from from northern Sudan area. They've been identified as Cushite people. There's others that identify some Hebrew people, the Hebrew people. So, and then there's some other ones that show that these were people that came out of Yemen. And then there's some that show that there were some slaves during the 1800s to 1700s from the Brooklyn Papyri, which shows a list of names of northern Semitic people who were slaves. But those were northern Semitic people, and people try to connect that.
How do you explain?
But the time frame don't work, huh?
How do you explain the burnt mountain at Mount Sinai?
First of all, it's not a burnt mountain. The entire mountain range, like there's big swaths of the mountain range that have this black glass-like burnt top to it, and it has been established that is from volcanic lava flows. And it's not one mountain. It's over it's whole swaths of mountain ranges. It's over the mountain range.
All right, thank you very much. You can say that. Okay, next one. How do you explain? Wait.
Hold on, bro. You're not going to get away with a thank you very much like I just proved your point. Because that does not prove your point. That actually goes anti to your point.
No, it proved my point.
No, if according to your God, according to your book, your God landed on one mountain, but yet there are parts all over the mountain range that shows that it's volcanic lava flow, not some being coming down on his spaceship.
Okay, well, you see, you're splitting this. Whether it was nuclear or lava flow, it was burnt by some supernatural power.
No, it was burnt by natural powers called lava. What part of the lava do you not understand? The la or the va?
Okay, the next one. How do you explain the split, the rock that Moses split? How do you explain that you can go to look at it right to this day?
You talking about the rock that does not show that it was broken through continuous water, but that it is a rock that was moved based on a glacier, and that the split comes from the melting of the glacier? You talking about that one?
Hey, I love this guy, man.
That dates back way. No, you
Yes,
are you so deaf that your brain says that, oh, if a glacial movement moved the rock and then the glacier melted, which created the split in the rock, that is nothing like, and that happened thousands of years before.
Water flowed through it. Can't say that part of water was flowing.
Okay, let me put it to you like this.
There's a pool below it. The that's sitting right there.
No, there's not a pool. But that happened.
Yes, it is.
That happened no later than around 9,000 to 10,000 BCE. All right, no later than that. Most likely it was around 13,000 BCE. That's way before Moses.
All right. You know, you scientists will come up with these dates because they don't believe in the Bible, but biblical scholar would come up with a different date.
Yeah, because they are trying to force the Bible into world history, and it just doesn't work.
The next question: how do you explain the archaeological findings of the chariots at the bottom of the sea?
You mean the chairs that no one has ever peer reviewed, that no one has ever seen, that a dude who has a degree in nursing went over there and he rented scuba gear that is not even equipped to go to the depths to which he claims that these things happen, that he found these chariot wheels. You talking about Ron Wyatt, who has been proven to have lied about every finding that he claimed that he found. That guy.
Okay, one more question. How do you explain those altars with residues of animal bones that are around the area? How do you explain those?
So the port that you're talking about on the other side of the Red Sea was a port the Egyptians had, that they had worshipped the goddess Hathor at that port. And it was like the last port that you would go to if you're going up into the desert. But if you was coming across, that's where you port over to go to Egypt, to mainland Egypt. It was worship of the goddess Hathor at that spot, which did have animal sacrifices for the god Hathor.
Okay, you see what you do with all of the biblical sources. You agree that these things happen and these things you can still visit them.
No.
Bring down at the water.
No.
The Burnt Mountain.
Bruh.
The
Bruh.
sacrifice of the
Bruh.
animals,
Bruh. Bruh.
Bruh.
Bruh. Bruh. Bruh. It's not running it. Bruh. I think you have some comprehension issues, because you can't comprehend that all these things happened well before any Israelite came along. So it is though the storyline is that the Israelites utilized what was already there and manufactured their own story. And you're putting this cart before the horse by saying that it is the Israelites who told the story, and then these other scientists are saying that no, that's not what happened. But we can date all these things beforehand, before any Israelite ever came into existence, before they ever was in this area.
I'm gonna ask you one question before I go, because as I say, I don't want to hold up your program too much, man. How did your ancestor come to America?
On a slave ship out of West Africa.
How do you explain the Bible foretelling that story?
The Bible never foretold about West Africans coming in the slave ships.
It did not.
No.
In Moses, was it?
No.
No.
No. Deuteronomy 28 says that. Okay, here's one little thing. Were my ancestors, the African slavery lasts for 400 years in America?
Who said that?
Does not Deuteronomy 28 say that they will be slaves for 400 years?
Yeah, that slavery, the Israelites will be brought to America as slave, yeah.
For 400 years.
No, it didn't say that.
Yes, it does.
No, it didn't say that.
My guy.
So how do you explain the Bible foretelling the transportation of slavery to America in slave ships?
There's a whole bunch of people went in slave ships, but it was for 400 years. The British brought the British. Okay, let me finish. The British brought people from India to Africa on ships as slaves and sold them in Africa, especially in South Africa, Zimbabwe, in those places.
Okay, so I'm asking you again. How did the Bible prophesy that event?
That the people from India would be brought over as slaves?
Yeah.
The Bible didn't prophesy that. That's just something that happened.
The children of Israel. That's going to happen to the children of Israel.
And how long was slavery in America?
I mean, when did slavery end in America?
Slavery in America in 1865.
With the last, I don't know about that. But the last time I see, the people who were brought here in captivity are still here, still being ruled over by the same people.
Are they in slavery? Are
yes,
they?
They are.
Bullshit. I have never been a slave.
You are, but you don't know. The best slave is the one who don't know he's a slave. Remember that.
Bruh, okay, you're done. Bye. Bye. I can only take so much of that nonsense. Oh my gosh. Anybody who thinks that they are still a slave, I can't even talk to. Damn, a lot of y'all not clicked on. I do know who was next. He's gone, didn't wait. That dude said, you still a slave, you just don't know it. The way that this book has encapsulated the mind of people is beyond my understanding. It is well beyond my understanding. Slavery in America didn't start till 1619, as far as the African slaves in America. Didn't start till 1619. It ended in 1865. That is not 400 years. That is not 400, not even close to 400 years. But these people still think that, oh, because you still had to go through Jim Crow laws and all these sorts of things, you're still in slavery. Oh, because you pay taxes, you're still in slavery. Because you have a government over you, you're still in slavery. If that's the case, the whole world is still in slavery and has always been in, the majority of the world has already been in slavery. Oh man, this is the way that that's the slave mind. That's the mind. I'm so enslaved to this book that I got to do any and everything I possibly can in order to justify this bullshit. It's beyond the scope of my imaginations. All right, let me just start hitting people. I know Miss Fifi said she hit it by accident. I'm just going up. I don't know who came next and next and next. I'm just going up the list. Of course, most people didn't want to wait. I only do one person at a time. So, you know, it is what it is. I see y'all just impatient. Yeah, we almost got 2 more people. We almost up. Oh, no, one last person I'm hitting. All right. I guess I should. Nope. They say oh, how you doing? Just something. What the hell does that say? Just the word, I think is what it says. Just the word. I don't think just the word know he's on or she's on. Just the word, are you there? Just the word is going once. Just the word going twice. Just the word going 3 times. I don't think that just the word is there. Well, he's there. They're there, but they don't. Wait a minute. Just in case old boy is still listening. Let me look it up real quick. Sorry about that. I don't know how long you guys have been out on the audio for the Facebook and YouTube. So I don't know what the last thing you guys heard on Facebook and YouTube. I don't know when the mic went out. Somebody let me know the last thing they heard on YouTube and Facebook. Let's see if Jason is still there. Nope, Jason's not there. Yeah, but Deuteronomy 6:8 is the one that talks about them selling away on slave ships. And they get the 400 years from when Genesis 15 talks about 400 years of slavery. And there was no 400 years of slavery in America as far as the African that came to America is concerned. I mean, here's the thing. Even if you started your concepts of America, from Columbus sailing, but Columbus sailed to the Caribbean. He didn't make it to United States at all, right? So you can't start at 1492 and then but you would have to go to 1892 in order for there to be 400 years of slavery. Slavery ended in America in 1865. You don't have 400 years of slavery in the United States, period. Point blank, zero, none, not 400 years. So it doesn't even work. Look at this dude. He's talking about slavery in the Americas. But Rupert, as I said, first European to come to the Americas, even though we know the Vikings came before, but they didn't colonize, they left. But when you look at Columbus, he came in 1492. Did he enslave some of the Taino people in the Bahamas? Yes. He took them back to Europe. He didn't bring them over. He didn't leave them here. But then there was his brother here. I think it's his brother. And his brother was an asshole and was killing people and enslaving people. Yes. 1492. Slavery ended 1865 in the United States. You don't get the time. And even I think Brazil might have been the last slave place in the Americas. Let me make sure. And oh shit, I typed that wrong. It still should find it. But I don't even think that. Yes, I thought it was 1888. Exactly. I was right. So the last slavery was finally abolished in the Americas, across the entirety of the Americas in 1888. You still don't have 400 years. You're just shy of 400 years. Right. It would have to have started in 1465 for that to even try to match up in the United States. Douglas. Oh, Douglas. Oh, they came over in them boats that's on my shirt. I didn't even think about that. Douglas, are you there? I don't think Douglas is here. I don't think Douglas is there. Okay, what's all this pop up and then don't say nothing shit going on? Yeah. So there is absolutely no way you can fit 400 years of slavery into the Americas, right? So Rupert is still over here on Facebook. Rupert is on Facebook saying that's the problem. You're looking at America instead of Americas. Okay, listen carefully, Rupert. Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492. In order for you to be able to claim that 400 years of slavery happened in the Americas, then that means that slavery had to consistently be in the Americas until 1892. But slavery ended in Brazil, which was the last place in America, in the Americas, that had slavery, in 1888. Therefore, sir, you still do not have 400 years. You're a little shy. You only got 4 years shy. But 400 is 400. If a man owed me $400, but he gave me $364, now I want my $4. I need my $4. I need my $4. How that blues song go? These last $2, I ain't gonna lose. One's for the jukebox. Wait a minute. The one's for the bus fare, and the other's for the jukebox, so I can hear me some blues. You so caught up into, I want to be a slave. I want to be a slave. That you're trying to force this 400 years in there. So your whole story is just wrong. Moses didn't write shit. Moses didn't prophesize anything. Even if you took the Israelites who were disbanded into the Assyrians, they weren't slaves for 400 years, and that was over land. If you took the Israelites who were disbanded during the time frame of Titus, some of them was on boats, and a lot of them went to Egypt, but they weren't slaves for 400 years. I went and did a little research on that. They didn't remain slaves for 400 years, even when that happened. So no, sir. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. That would be pretty interesting. He said that my mom and dad worked on cane plantations. My mom is still alive, and she tells me stories. Okay. My mom told me stories about Tooth Fairy. She worked in factories majority of her life that I know of. Yeah, all of her life, all of my life that I know of, my mother worked into factories till she retired. She can tell me some stories too. She told me about the Tooth Fairy. She told me about Santa Claus. I just forgave her for that one. She told me a whole lot of stories. But your 400 years just don't work. Y'all can try it. You can try to push it. But even in the Bible, it gets it wrong about the Israelites being enslaved for 400 years. Like when you look at, what did I say it was? Genesis 15. Genesis 15, where is it? Then the Lord said to him, know for certain that for 400 years your descendants will be strangers in a country, not their own, and they will be enslaved and mistreated there. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to be enslaved for the whole 400 years. I could even get with that. But it says that they're going to be in there for 400 years. The thing about Exodus is that in Exodus 12:40, it says, now the length of time the Israelite people lived in Egypt was 430 years. So they went a little over the time. But they weren't slaves for the entire 430 years. They were only slaves for about 260 something years. So that would be the whole Exodus story. It wouldn't have nothing to do with people here in the Americas. Do you think that Christianity was influenced by Kemet spiritual concepts or Zoroastrian? I think they were influenced by both, but more Zoroastrianism than the Kemet system. Definitely, but more Zoroastrianism. Got two people. Thurman. Are you there, Thurman? Is TikTok acting right? Because I know these people ain't coming on here and not saying anything. Thurman. What the hell is going on? Thurman, if you're talking but I can't hear you, say something in the comments. Let me give you a second. Let me give you a second to figure that out. Because it might be my end. I'm not sure. I want to make sure it's not my end. I don't think Thurman is there. Let's go to the next person, if they're still there. Black man.
Yo, what's up, man?
Okay.
Thanks for bringing me up.
All right, so it's not my
It was
sister.
interesting that what you were saying. I wanted to know if you could break that down real quick again. You said something about the 430 years. You said something about 400 years, but they was. Can you break that down real briefly?
So the prophecy that was given by the prophecy that was given by Abraham, talking about them being in a foreign land, that they would be slaves for 400 years, and they'll be in a in a land that's not their own. That goes to the Exodus story, and so when the Exodus story is written, they write the story of when Joshua came into Egypt, and then he brought his family into Egypt during the famine, and they were in Egypt for about 260 something years free. And then they were in Egypt for about 200 years as slaves. Well, 100 something years as slaves. The total time adds up to 430 years.
You know, did it say they would be in?
Go ahead.
Okay, did it say they would be in bondage for 400 years? Did it say they would be in bondage for 400 years?
It says, and they, at the end of it, it says, and they will be enslaved and mistreated. Can you read the whole thing? Then the Lord said to him, know for certain that for 400 years your descendants will be strangers in a country not their own, and that they will be enslaved and mistreated there. And that's Genesis 15:13.
Okay, they would be enslaved and mistreated there, but it didn't say they would be enslaved for 400 years, right?
It says it. Well, I mean, it says that they will be there for 400 years, and that they will be enslaved and mistreated there.
But not enslaved and mistreated for 400 years, right?
Does it say it doesn't?
I'm just saying it's interesting.
It doesn't say it in the order that you are saying it, but if I said that black man is going to be in Atlanta and he will be enslaved and mistreated there, most people would read that and say, logically, based on the wording, that you're going to go to Atlanta and be enslaved the entire time you're there in London. I mean, in Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the understanding of it.
Okay, now what's your deduction from that in comparison to the other thing that you said? That he was only in bondage for like 200 or something years?
I might be getting those numbers. Let me see. I might get the numbers mixed up as to how long they were there free and then how long they were slaves. Oh, it's definitely a failed prophecy. Yeah, it's definitely a failed prophecy, which according to the Bible would make Abraham a false prophet.
Okay.
So they were.
See, I'm not a black Hebrew Israelite. So what if they tell you that America is a part of the prophecy? What would you say?
I tell them they're wrong. They always say that.
They don't say America.
Well, let me correct myself on the years real quick.
Okay.
Hold on, let me correct it. So when they were in Egypt, they came to Egypt, they was there, and they weren't slaves for the first 210 years. I kept saying 267. They weren't slaves for the first 210 years. And then they were slaves for about 86 to 116 years.
Okay.
So the majority of the time they were there, they were not slaves. It's just the last part, you know, when it says that the Pharaohs forgot who Joshua was, and so then they started to treat them harshly, and then they made them into slaves. That was for like 116 years that they were actually slaves.
Okay. Now, can I share something with you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, are you familiar? I'm driving right now, so can you turn to Numbers chapter 12, verse 8? Because I like what you just did. I'm saying something now.
Hold on. Right, because I'll pull this up because you're pulled over on the side of the road, sir. Numbers chapter 12, which verse? You said 8? Oh, with him I speak face to face. Yeah, with him I speak face to face, clearly, not in riddles, and he beholds the form of the Lord. So this is when Moses was talking to God face to face.
Right. Now, if you go,
and you're talking about where Jesus and all them be saying that nobody's seen God face to face. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Deuteronomy 28:68.
Go to Deuteronomy 28:68.
All right.
Deuteronomy 28:68.
Mm-hmm. The Lord will bring you back in ships to Egypt.
You see where it says? Yep.
By
that Egypt cannot mean modern day America like they try to twist it to mean, because in Numbers 12:8 he said he did not speak to Moses in dark speech.
Right. Oh, I see.
Some translations say dark speech. Some.
I like that.
Say riddle.
I like that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm gonna steal that one.
Modern day America or else. That's why I told you I'm debatable, because I'm gonna take what you said as well. I can put both of it together. I like what you just did.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like what you just did. That he speaks to him clearly and not in riddles.
Don't get me wrong, but I can appreciate not in riddles. So when they say America is that Egypt, you tell them no, because how would he tell Moses something without giving him the interpretation of it? Moses didn't give the interpretation to the children of Israel, and nobody finds out that the Egypt he's referring to is the United States of America, and nobody even knew about in America during that time. It wouldn't even make no sense. So yeah.
No, I'm with you like 100%, my guy, and that was a great breakdown of that. I never even thought about adding that part of it, adding that to it, but that was outstanding.
Yeah.
The fact that he says, "I'm not going to talk to you in riddles."
Yeah.
And the other part is when you look at Deuteronomy 28, when it says Mizraim, it has the definite article before it. So the definite article makes it to be the land of Egypt, not a idea of Egypt or an allegory of Egypt or even someone's name, Egypt. It literally means the land of Egypt.
He got the definite article in front of it.
Yeah, well, it has a definite article that we translate to the land of Egypt. I don't speak Hebrew, so I can't say it.
Hebrew has definite articles?
Yeah. Well, from my understanding.
They have definite articles.
Yeah, that's how they distinguish certain things as far as when they mean an actual land or an idea or a person.
Okay. And they'll say that Egypt means the house of bondage, but the Bible also say Egypt means the furnace, the hot furnace. So
wow.
God was telling him, I'm gonna send you back to the sun. I'm gonna sell you to the sun. Yeah. It also means hot furnace.
Now I've never seen that one.
The house of bondage. Yeah, if you Google it, you'll see it. It says the hot furnace, Egypt, the furnace, hot furnace.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
So I guess it can't be America. They gotta pick some hot Arabian land. which is Egypt, since America is not really all that hot when you think about it. It's really America is really like a sub-Arctic climate, because most of the year, the majority of this country is cold and freezing. Minneapolis, Chicago, New York.
I see what you're saying.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So most of it is cold. Yeah, it's a cold region.
And that's why I live in San Antonio. Because I'm not doing the cold. I go as close to the subtropical parts of America as I possibly can.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm with you. All right, you dropped some bombs. You dropped some good info on us today. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I think we spoke last time, right?
I'm not sure. I talk to so many people, man. Sometimes I forget.
I debated you before. Yeah, it got a little heated. It wasn't cordial, but it was like we was going back and forth.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that
atheism and all of that.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, we was going. Do you save your lives?
I mean, they're all saved on YouTube, so I can always pull them down if I need to.
I mean, what you're doing right now.
Yeah, like I'm live on YouTube and Facebook as well. So,
okay. Cool.
TikTok only holds them for like 30 days, but YouTube I can always go get them anytime.
Okay. I bet none of them Black Hebrews ever debated you. Have you ever debated one of them?
Oh yeah, they've come on before. They come on. They get the same treatment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get the same
They
treatment.
don't like people who go down the rabbit hole, because it goes against their doctrine. Because their doctrine, it doesn't allow them wiggle room.
No,
you know what I'm saying? Because it's a cult.
There you go. It's a cult.
Yeah, you don't allow no wiggle room.
And because that cult got their mind so wrapped up, they can't see the information right in front of them. You can demonstrate it all day to them, and they can't. And a guy said something earlier today when I was listening to his podcast. It was either today or last night I was listening to something, but he was saying that, it's the debates is not even for the person that I'm talking to, because that person is always going to have a made up mind, and that's the purpose of them debating it. But it's for the audience that's listening, and how there are people out there who are listening who may have questions, but they don't want to come up on the thing. And the audience is the ones who get the greater benefit. And I thought that was like real good when he said that, because I never thought about it,
Right.
Yeah, because I used to get irritated by people who, I give you all the information right here laid out on a platter, but you still want to think the way you're thinking, even though I've satisfied truly the information. But hey, they are what they are. It is what it is. But if other people are catching it, that's what's great. That's what's great about it. I think he must have got a phone call. But Black man, I'm gonna get the other people.
Hey, check out. I heard everything. I got one more. I got one last one.
All right.
If you don't mind, or you want to work or heard? Honestly.
No, go ahead.
Just hurry up. Isaiah 59 verse 21. Can you read Isaiah 59 verse 21? This is going to be another bombshell.
Hold on. Isaiah 59. And you said 21?
Verse 21. Yep.
And as for me, this is my covenant with them, says the Lord. I know what you're talking. My spirit that is upon you, and my words that I have put in your mouth shall not depart out of your mouth, or out of the mouths of your children, or out of the mouths of your children's children, says the Lord, from now on and forever. Go ahead and break it.
Watch this. These Black Hebrew Israelites who are claiming to be the children of Israel, how come the tongue of the Hebrew was discontinued from their mouth? This God's words is in Hebrew, not English. According to this covenant, God said that word would be in their mouth and their children's mouth from that day forward to forevermore.
Mm-hmm.
You don't wait back up to a language. No.
He said it'll never be discontinued. So that Hebrew tongue, they should have never lost it. And because they lost it, that means they cannot be the Israelites. Because this verse is a covenant and God is not a liar. You see it?
I see it. I'm with you. I'm gonna use that one on the Hebrew Israelite too. Next time I talk to one of them.
But yeah, that's all, man. You got it, and I appreciate you. You can just sit me back down. I'm gonna listen from the audience, man. But
All right.
yeah, marinate on that, man. And I want to hear you further expound on it even when I get into the audience.
All right.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate you. That was good stuff. I'm always in a student position, so it's always great to hear people bring up things that I haven't really thought about as much. Oh, well, JoJo is gone. I don't know which one of you guys was next. Well, that person's not there anymore. D-Town. D-Town. D-Town, are you there? D-Town. Downtown. I think D-Town might have hit it by accident. Sometimes when you're hearting it up over there on TikTok, you hit the request button by accident. D-Town going once. D-Town going twice. D-Town going 3 times. Okay, so D-Town is not really there. I don't know what's going on with the guests today. Like most of the people hitting the button, but then some of them is just not patient. Some of them is just, it just goes away. I know that there were many comments. Let me see. Oh, so let me take this moment to thank everybody who shares these videos, shares the videos that I published earlier today, right before I went live. Thank you very much. Everybody who is a member, subscription holders, fan clubs, everybody who gives gifts. Thank you, Miss Fifi, for the hearts that you gave earlier, the heart puffs. So I want to thank everybody for their super chats and their stars that they give on the channel. The support means a lot to me. Thank you guys very much. I say that periodically just to make sure that people know that I am grateful for them doing this, for them doing that. I'm definitely going to clip that other guy. I mean, every argument that he tried to make about any of this stuff being real, any of that stuff, you can prove any of that, all of it got shut down. Not one thing. He didn't prove one aspect of the Torah to be true, to be a real event that happened in history. We know that the Tower of Babel ziggurat is an old ziggurat that a king for 90 years that the Babylonians tried to rebuild it, and they weren't able to rebuild it, and so they created this story based on this ancient ziggurat, which has absolutely nothing to do with the Israelites. And they took a similar word of Babel that they had and converted that into confusion, when Babel means the gateway, and Babylon is gateway of the gods. What up there, IG?
What's up? Ain't this a bitch? As soon as you came online, like my thing talk about battery low. Hold on, let me switch over technology. This is annoying. Hold on.
IG having problems. That's that Atlanta. That's that Atlanta humidity creating swamp ass on your phone.
I'll take it. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. You sound a little bit in a vacuum, but I can hear you.
Oh no! See, that's that bullshit. Whatchamacallit? Definitely did the Torah really happen? One part that I definitely want to say that did not happen is David's establishment of Israel. I think what people are going to try to do is use the genealogy from the Old Testament in Genesis and Exodus, and then they're going to try to fast forward and say, see, because we established the Jewish state of Israel in the 1940s here in Americas, therefore this is God's word coming to fruition. I kind of could see that that's kind of been like the thing that, well, not kind of, that's what they've been doing. Taking pieces of history and things that you can prove and attaching themselves to it. not the astronomical stuff have you been debunking this whole time. There's this one content creator, and I don't want to say her name, but she recently did a video saying, yes, I do believe in a man-made Bible, right? And it was speaking to the points of what we was talking about the other day. She used the example to say that, well, if you go down to the DMV, you heard me, and get your driver's license, and they hand you a driver's manual. Well, didn't a man write that manual? Yes. And doesn't it do in fact hold true or dear now? If you don't follow the rules of the road, there's a consequence. Of course. So I think the good thing about the pressure that you are putting in people like us, we're having to make people admit that they know that it is really man-made and just have to admit to the utility use of it, to the socialization of it. I think we're at a point now where people are going to have to just admit that part. Because I'm starting to see even more Christian content creators are saying, so what if it is written by man? And this is why I have this philosophy that I've just been telling people religion and spirituality is human emotion deified.
No,
Because as long, yeah, because
Look,
as long as you, yeah, go ahead. My bad. I've been talking for a little bit. Go ahead, though.
no, I'm with you, but that's a cop-out excuse to be able to say that just because we have man-made things, man-written documents that we follow today, that's a justification for the Bible. Because we don't follow Harry Potter. That's written by somebody, but does that mean that there's a school for witches and warlocks and shit?
No, it doesn't.
It's a bullshit coping mechanism in order to suggest that just because we have that, as far as the laws that we have, that this Bible story filled with all these miraculous mythological things, that makes their stuff real.
Right. But see, unlike the folklore of everything else or the mysticism, they're not integrating it into law. Right? Like just imagine, which they could, like, all of these different, the X-Men universe, the DC universe, the Marvel universe, it really ain't that much of a difference. Could you imagine if they did, in fact, base the laws based off of the comic universe? It's almost like the same thing. The only difference is there's not a military or a government behind it pushing that. That's the only difference. People haven't decided to agree on it. It's just every time when I hear people, well, it's in the law, I said, yeah, anything could be put in the law. People seem to think that when they hear people like us talk, we have an issue with systems. I don't have necessarily issue with systems. I have I have an issue with the way that it's programmed.
Yeah.
And we the people are the programmers.
And
we the humans are the programmers.
Everybody is going to have laws that's pushed by a government that's generally backed by a military, and then you're going to follow those laws. And they change over time. There are Roman laws that we would not follow today that we actually go against, like slavery laws, property laws. We go against a lot of the laws that the Romans established, but some of the laws the Romans had, we still follow to this day. But that doesn't. But so governmental laws is going to be something that you are going to have in order to have civilization. But what we won't follow is fairy tale bullshit laws from back in Roman times. We won't follow those because the government and the military they stopped supporting that. And so when they force some of these Christian laws on people, it's due to them forcing it. But even those Christian laws have been taken away. Like the laws that prohibits women from being able to make a promise or testify. Women can make promises, women can testify, they can sign contracts. But biblical law says they can't.
Or own property now. Yeah. Can own property. Yeah. So I can kind of see that is something that is inspiring to me, at least, or giving me some hope that it's like, okay, at least some of them are getting to the point to see, oh, it's man-made. And then that's the thing too, and that's why the whole thing of me being same gender loving, I've always said this, it's an issue if you are a same gender loving person and the only thing that you care about the Bible or injustice that you see is when it comes to homosexuality. That's a whole problem. Because just like I am a biological male and I'm a man, I can see clear as day everything about that Bible that it was written from a biological heterosexual male gaze. I can see like the way that it is implied that it would be. I don't understand how. I don't understand how most men. Now I'm about to get off here because I know you probably got some more people. Everybody to be so homophobic, but the religion itself is so homoerotic. Come inside me, Lord. Lord, fill me up till I won't no more. Let me feel your presence in me. Like the whole thing sounds weird, even when I think about it as the same gender loving. I'm like, so am I having some homosexual sex? Are we doing spiritual like debauchery with this bullshit? Because it's just so strange to me. But that's all I wanted to say is that yes, because of we have integrated this into law and militia, this is why this is our law of the land. You have a good day. It's always good to be on here, bro.
Happy to have you.
Yeah, like it don't make no sense.
Bye. That is always why I laugh. IG is always gonna make me laugh. Yeah, that boy got no sense. But I mean, the Bible is very homoerotic, and then most of the stuff that these Christians utilize to say that homosexuality is wrong, it doesn't even mean what it means today. Has nothing to do with what it meant back then. Had nothing to do with what it meant back then. It's like totally different. I still don't understand why people in the LGBTQ community even participate in this religion. Even if it is misunderstood, I still wouldn't do it. The fact that that's how they're using it is enough for me. Damn, I had 3 people waiting, but 3 people, they weren't patient. I mean, IG cool and all, but I would never wash his feet. I can tell you that. 12 grown ass men up in the upper room washing feet. Nope. Even when I was a Christian, and thankfully I was a deacon at the time, and our pastor wanted to do a foot washing thing, and I told him, I ain't washing none of you motherfuckers' feet. And I literally sat right there in that meeting and said, I ain't washing none of you motherfuckers' feet. I like, Reverend Grant, you crazy. And this other thing, you can't cuss in the church. When this man talking about me washing another man's feet, I ain't washing none of you motherfuckers' feet. I wash a woman's feet. I ain't washing none of you. I thought they were gonna take my deaconship away when I told them I ain't washing no damn body's feet. It's crazy hell. You ain't washing no damn body's feet. I ain't submitting to your ass. Hell no. You're another person. But that is some homoerotic stuff. The coming inside you and what IG, I am not. Can somebody please post some comment or get up on this stage? Because that joker. I mean, we got, what time is it? I got about 1 hour left. Now I wash my wife's feet. Shit, who's some other women on here? I wash Boss Lady feet. I wash Kelly's feet. But I ain't washing. I watch Janelle. That's a woman that I watch Janelle. But you dudes, hell no. Hell no. Watching none of you motherfuckers feet. Oh my gosh. Okay. Whew. Let me let that go. Let me let it go. 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 I guess none of these. Man, we started out good with a good little guy who made some dumbass comments and who couldn't accept the fact that none of his ideas of biblical proof, none of his archaeological proofs show that. I mean, how hard is it? I asked the man, what is the documentation? He was going, oh, we got documents. But then did you notice that once, if you weren't here, you missed it. But did you notice that once I showed him and he researched himself and saw that the Dead Sea Scrolls only go back to 200 BCE, that the oldest documentation that we have of anything resembling some of the stories of the Torah only go back to 600 BCE. There are no documents that were written at the time frame of Joshua. There was no documents written at the time frame of Moses. We have none of that, and we have nothing that would lead us to believe that, especially since it's most likely that they never came into being until around the 1200s, at the 1300s at the earliest, that we hear of an Israelite. It's the 1200s BCE that we hear of an Israelite. Now, IG mentioned the house of David, and the other guy had mentioned the house of David, and I brought up the Tel Dan Stela. Now, if you actually go and you look at the Tel Dan Stela, I have brought it up so I can see, I wanted to make sure I'm reading it exactly correctly. The part of the Tel Dan Stela, and tell me if this matches the Bible. Y'all let me know. If this matches the Bible, put a 1. If it don't match the Bible, give me a 2. Right? But it says that, and this is thought that it's been written by King Hazazel, and he says that, so it's not even written by an Israelite. And Hadad made me king, and Hadad went in the front line of me. Hadad is the god that he worships. I killed Joram, son of Ahab, king of Israel, and I killed Ahazahu, son of Jehoiakim, king of the house of David, and I set their town into ruins. So it's the Tel Dan Stela is saying that I killed these people who claim to be the kings of Israel, and I set their sons, I set their towns into ruin, and that these people were of the house of David. This is what the Jehoiakim then were claiming, that they were of this house of David. They created or claimed the lineage of this whole David. And this is the Armenian king of Damascus, is who most scholars think that this is. The only thing that this would demonstrate is that there was a King Jehoram of Israel, and Ahaziah. That's why I don't want to learn Hebrew, because I can't pronounce this shit. Ahaziah of Judah. So the Bible does talks about these kings as well. So with other writings, we can say that these kings probably existed, and they claim that they were from a house of David. But we still don't have anything that says that they were, that the house of David is actually real. This is just something that somebody's claiming. Kind of like how I mess with my boy Rupert about Haile Selassie just claiming shit. Now, that's what we have on that one. And that one dates, what's the dating of that? That dates around the 9th century BCE. So we're talking about the 800s. All right. Which is kind of in that time frame. But then we have the Mesha stele, or the Moabite stone, which dates back to 840 BCE. And this is King Mesha, who is talking about how his god, Shamash, he's talking about King Omri, how his god Shamash gave him victory over King Omri. And then he took the sacrifice that the Israelites were going to use for Yahweh, and he gave them over. I mean, then he used that for Shamash as a sacrifice for Shamash. Where's the actual inscription? Let's see if it has the actual inscription. So come on, give me the exact inscription. This is some bullshit. So on it, it just has a house of David. It mentions both Yahweh and the house of David, official. So we have this mentioning of people claiming to be the house of David. but we don't have nothing from the house of David. We have no artifacts from David. So we can claim anything. I could claim that I'm from the house of Shaka, the Zulu. I can pull a Haile Selassie. And if enough people believe that shit, I can go down to South Africa, raise up an army, and then take over that land. Take over South Africa and make it my own. So yeah, the Moabite stone, it just talks about how they killed this king. So did King Omri exist? Probably did. Did he get his ass whooped by the Moabites? Yeah, probably did. Even the Israelites admit in their Bible that they got their ass whooped. Now they tell the story that Mesha sacrificed his own son, and that's why they won. But Mesha says that no, I kicked their ass, and then I took their sacrifices that they had for Yahweh, and I sacrificed it to Shamash. So you got the story of the victor and the story of the loser. Both of them might have a little propaganda in there. Both of them got the propaganda believing that their guys led them, it was in front of them and led them. Both of them talk about a sacrifice that the Moabites made. The difference is who the sacrifice was. That part we don't know. Only thing we can historically say is that Mesha kicked Omri's ass. That's it. That's it. But that doesn't validate their gods. It doesn't validate King David. None of that is validated. And that's the problem with people who believe these stories. They'll take one little piece of that you can make out as history and then say, oh, the Bible must be true since we can validate that Omri existed. So we can invalidate that Jehoiakim and his sons existed. But that doesn't mean, and because they claim the house of David, we have nothing from the house of David. It doesn't mean that David actually existed. And even if we did find something that showed us that David existed, that doesn't mean that David killed a giant. It doesn't mean that David went out to the Phoenicians and got him, I don't know what's the number, 1,000, 1,200, 1,400 dick skins and brought them back to Saul. It doesn't mean any of those things. Doesn't mean that he talked to a god. It doesn't mean none of that shit. It would just mean that David was a real king. That during the time frame of the Bronze Age collapse, when the Mediterranean world was foobarred, that this warlord established a kingdom of Israel. That's all it would mean. It wouldn't mean nothing else. And if we had proof of that, I'd accept it. Even with the guy was bringing up last week, the Temple of Solomon, because the temple was there, then that means Solomon existed. No. How many buildings? So I was watching, I love that show Billions. I love that show Billions. And there was one episode where Axelrod wanted his name to replace somebody else's name on this building. So if Axelrod put his name on this building, then 2,000 years go by and that name is still on that building, does that mean Axelrod built that building? But credit is given to Axelrod for that building. Just because you say Solomon built it doesn't mean Solomon built it. For all we know, Hezekiah could have built it, or some other king before Hezekiah built it, or maybe the people who was there before had built it. When it was a Canaanite, when it wasn't Jerusalem and it was called Jebus, maybe they built it. Maybe the Sumerians built it. Well, no, they had that was a different city. Samaria was a capital city. But maybe we don't know. Anybody could have built it and then they took it over and then say, yo, Solomon built this. Because they put his name on it, like Axelrod put his name on that building. I still call the Staples Center the Staples Center. I know it's Crypto Arena or Crypto.com Arena, whatever it's called, but it's Staples Center. Sometimes I still call the State Farm Arena in my hometown of Atlanta the Omni, even though I know they blew the Omni up. But every now and then it'll slip out and I say, yeah, going down to the Omni. I mean, State Farm Arena. Names on buildings change. So whoever they could have, yeah, there's Solomon. We don't have any proof of Solomon. And since we don't have proof of Solomon, the whole Ethiopian story then goes down the toilet as well. We have no proof of Menelik. We have no proof of Sheba or Candace, whichever version you want to go with. We have no proof of none of them. People just claim shit all the time. And that's all we get. Is we got people's claims. And definitely if you try to bring up Ron Wyatt with anything with the Exodus or Jesus, you already lost. So for any of my Christians who are out there watching this, please don't bring up Ron Wyatt's claims. The man has been debunked so many times with all his, I found chariot wheels. I found the blood of Jesus. I found the Ark of the Covenant. You know, I found the Ark. There are so many claims that this man has made that have all been proven to be false. The man said the demons. Somebody been reading the Keys of Solomon. He said demons built the temple because it was written in the. I think that's in the Kings of Solomon, right? Where he claimed that he used some magic spells to control a demon. What was the demon? It was Azazel that he controlled, and demons built the temple, according to the Keys of Solomon. I think that's the Keys of Solomon. He said, Coach, you said that you're a Mason. How can you be an active Mason and you don't believe Solomon existed? First of all, I'm not an active Mason right now. Since I stopped believing in any God whatsoever, I stopped participating in Masonry. Second, you can be of any belief. You could worship, you could believe in Shinto, which has absolutely nothing to do with Christianity or Solomon or Judaism. But if your lodge utilizes certain books, it talks about Solomon. Solomon is an allegory when in reference to Masonry. He is not something that you have to believe in. See, you got to become a Mason to know what the hell we actually talk about before you say stuff. Because Solomon is just an allegory, a theme to be used for a deeper understanding of what building the temple means as far as building of yourself. You see, it's all allegorical. So for you non-Masons out there who like the dog Masons out, everything is allegory in there about building yourself, building your family, building your community. Every goddamn story, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. That's not a huge secret. It's not even a secret. That's what it's all. I mean, we say our goal is to make good men better. So all this shit is an allegory. If I went to a lodge in Japan, they ain't using no damn Solomon. They ain't using the Bible. If I went to one that's ran by Shintos, they're going to use their doctrine, but they're going to use stories that symbolizes the same stuff. So you thought you had something. You thought you was cooking right there, but yeah, you're not cooking. No, you're not cooking. You know, I could use Aesop fables. Actually, I was contemplating. There's a show in San Antonio this weekend, Edgar Allan Poe show, and me and my wife were talking about possibly going. I can use the story of the pendulum swings to illustrate different things, something in my life about the pendulum swinging from the left to the right, getting closer and closer. You don't go out there and handle your business when you see shit is going on and you sit there and just wait, hoping for something to come and save you. Then what's going to wind up happening is the pendulum eventually is going to swing down and cut your ass in half. So don't just sit there and let the pendulum swing. I think I'm remembering that poem story correctly. So no. What'd you say? Exactly, just like the center downtown Atlanta was the CNN Center. Oh, it's just called the Center now. So it's not the CNN Center anymore. See, I still call it the CNN Center, and folks still ask if it is, despite a completely rebranding everywhere. I didn't even know that. Well, I'll find out in December when I come visit Atlanta, come visit some family members in December. But yeah, so oh my gosh, not doing Mason. I'm just saying you are using Solomon, but yet he doesn't exist to you. So why use it if it doesn't exist? Because the lodge that I was belonged to uses those particular books. Yeah, most lodges in America use the Bible, and it don't matter. You ain't got to believe in Solomon to get the lesson, dude. How thick is your skull? I mean, seriously. Do I have to believe in Shrek to use Shrek to teach a lesson about acceptance? Do I have to believe in Shrek? No, you don't. Hell, be more realistic. Do I have to believe in Buddha or the teachings of Buddha to utilize a story to teach my kids about letting go of greed, letting go of the self, not being focused on earthly attachments? Do I have to believe in Buddhism or Buddha in order to utilize their storytelling or their teachings, the Eightfold Path, in order to teach my kids, hey, don't hold on to earthly attachments. Cars will, and which is something that I did do. Cars will come and go. Houses will come and go. Every material thing you have will come and go. And what Buddha teaches is that one of the things you have to do in order to reach enlightenment is to not hold emotional attachments to things. I don't believe Buddhism is true, even though they don't have a God, so that's good. Oh my gosh. Sometimes I wonder, like, when I say stuff, are believers, are y'all just so hard-headed that it makes you stupid? And with all due respect, Rupert, because sometimes we agree, but come on, man, you're smarter than this. So you're saying the lodge kicked you out? No, the lodge did not kick me out. They were willing to let me. They were like, well, we understand that you don't believe in God anymore, but you can still be a member, right? Even the brothers who don't even know me who are here, and I tell them, yeah, I don't participate in Masonry because, and I tell them that I don't believe that any God exists, and they still ask me to join their lodge. So you're trying with they kicked you out. When did I say they kicked me out? Never. Because you're going on based on your own understanding. No, sir. We teach in the lodge that these things are all allegory for you to become a better man. What part of that I said earlier that is not getting through your skull? This is what we teach. Utilizing allegories to teach you to be a better man. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. And then they don't even understand, but you have to believe in Buddha. No, you don't believe in Buddha. It's the teachings. As the Buddhists say, if you ever meet God if you're ever walking down the street and you meet God, kill him. That's like saying, oh, I base my life on the Stoic principles of Marcus Aurelius. I don't have to believe in Marcus Aurelius as a god or some deity. I accept that he was a man, that he was a Roman emperor, that he was wise, he was stoic, and he wrote a book. And I think that the writings that he wrote were beneficial to my life. And so I follow some of those. Oh, I'm asking, not assuming. Your statement was not an asking. You might put a question mark on the back of that, but that was not an asking when you say that they kicked me out. I never said that. Did I say that I was going on my own understanding? Never said that. I said that's what we teach. So hard pressed to try to be, when you're so hard pressed that you have to be right, you can't even hear when something's coming to you, and you can't even understand it. It doesn't lock in your brain. You go in these different pathways, you know. And if anybody ever told you once a Mason, always a Mason, they lied. They lied. Go out and essay someone as a Mason, and you are no longer a Mason. Go commit murder, and you are no longer a Mason. You will be blackballed. You will not be able to participate in anything Masonic. Go out and do some bad things like that. No, you are no longer a Mason. Commit a felony. You are no longer a Mason. So no, once a Mason is not always a Mason. Hey, do you read comments and answer questions? Yep, I try to. When I don't have a guest, which is something that I don't have right now. Oh, shit. Let's see. What is gopher wood? Here's the real answer to that. No one knows. Absolutely not. No one knows what gopher, as far as the biblical writing, as far as the creation of Noah's Ark, no one actually knows what gopher wood is, because there's nothing biblically that leads us to that understanding. There's nothing in any other writings or tablets that we found in that part of the world for us to know what type of tree that gopher wood comes from. Now, what had happened, and is throwing so many people's mind off, a Christian explorer came down into Florida, saw a tree, and he named that tree gopher wood. And it was in Florida, South Georgia. And he named that tree gopher wood because he was a Christian. And then all of a sudden, these people have taken off on this thing saying that, oh, America was where all this biblical stuff happened. And so gopher wood, nobody knows what it is. But in America, but like I said, let me get the American explorer's name so that you can look it up. Evely E. Calloway. So, and mind you, atheism, this was in the 1950s. But it was a tree, a rare tree called Torrey taxifolia, in around the Panhandle, and a Baptist minister named Evely Calloway, commonly known as E.E. Calloway. And he has if you can, matter of fact, I think you can go down there and they got a whole little museum thing based on this man. So I said American explorer, so it is a Baptist pastor. But he's the one who said that renamed this tree to gopher wood. because of this rare tree that grows in Florida. And that's the thing. It wasn't in Florida. It's just this Baptist pastor. He decided he gonna name it Gopher Wood. How can a person join the Masons? Just meet one and then go and ask him. Ask that Mason. Janelle, your name is Janelle. Are you a man or a woman? Because women can't join Masonry. I think it's messed up. But as the situation, as it's structured right now, women can be Eastern Stars, which is Mason adjacent. But a lot of things that are taught in the lodges are not taught to the women. I think it's messed up. I think that everybody should be able, male, female, it shouldn't matter. I think Masonry need to come up to the times, let go of some of that bullshit. Any Rastafarian. Well, Rastafarianism is a cult, so it don't matter. Edward got his panties in a crunch because nobody's gonna go up here and just fall into his Hebrew Israelite isms. You want to call people Hamites. The story of Noah has absolutely nothing to do with my genetic code. My family has nothing to do with anyone from the Levant. That's why I didn't join the Masons, because they have black and white Masons in Texas. You can join even though Masonry, it has been coded black and white like the church, that has been dissolving itself over recent times. I mean, racism is racism. You're gonna find that everywhere. McTime.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm Simon. I got my air conditioning fan on. Do I need to cut some off?
No, you're fine. I can hear you.
Okay. Well, I just kind of see what's up. How you doing, Coach?
Pretty good.
Glad to hear it.
Finish up if I don't get no good debate going.
Are you looking for a debate? Well, I don't know if I could bring a debate. I had some things that I can't think about. I'm not coming to my mind right now. I wanted to ask you about, on a discussion I had with somebody on another little panel, but I was just like I just seeing what's up with you on the you were talking about the Masonry. Does that bother you that unless they didn't change things, because this was years ago. I was invited to join years upon years ago, and I started to, but I changed my mind because I found out they got like a black and white masonry out here in Texas, but like in in the north, they just got one masonry line for both, and I just thought that was just.
Now there's a lot more to it than just that. So what you had was back in the day, during slavery times, black people weren't allowed to become Masons. So you had a dude named Prince Hall. He petitioned to he went to England, petitioned to start Masonry for black people in America. He was granted a charter. The charter it only recognized up to the first and second degree. And so from that time frame, you had black lodges, you had white lodges. But as we moved into the 1900s and into the 2000s, lodges started becoming mixed, but people still stay segregated like the churches. But a lot of them mixed together. But it was a treaty that was signed about 10, 15 years ago to recognize the black lodges that started out as a black lodge.
Mhm.
But even before that, you had lodges that were mixtures of black and white people. It just people gravitate towards to being in groups that look like themselves, which is why most black people join Prince Hall. But I never joined Prince Hall.
Well, yeah, that I mean that's fine and all, but and this was over 10 years ago. I think I was out, the guy that I met, we was at work, and this was like in 2008, 2000, and somewhere in the early 2000s, if I'm not mistaken. And he wanted me, and he tried to talk me into joining. I started to, because at the time he was running for president and whatnot. And I don't know, maybe he thought, man, he'd give me and I vote for him or something, but I didn't must go because back then
it doesn't have presidents, but I understand what you're saying. I know what he was running for.
Okay, he was running for something. I'm outside looking in.
Well, he shouldn't have been trying to recruit you. We don't recruit. If he was doing it right, you don't recruit.
Well, I mean, I don't know what you call it, because I wouldn't necessarily call it he actively tried to recruit me, but he found out because I'm kin to Masons. My grandfather was a Mason, and my great grandfather and my grandfather was Masons, and I have some uncles and stuff that was Masons too. So and the people, out here in my city, my people are kind of well known in this small little city. And so he knew who my people was, and it was a little bit of that too. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I see. Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I understand what he was doing. Okay, so, but no, it's not segregated like that. It started out that way, but it's not anymore.
Well, I wasn't aware that what you said happened 10, 15 years ago, because that's after that exchange that I'm telling you about. So that's a new development that I wasn't aware of. But I'm probably too old. They don't want me anymore. They probably don't want me anymore. I'm too old now.
There's no such thing as being too old.
What kind of person of over 40 years of age contribute to the Masonry Lodge, Coach?
Brotherhood, wisdom, knowledge. Community efforts to uplift your community. Good. You never become a perfect man. So no matter how old you are, you're still always striving to be a better person. And that's one of the things that we talked about, is the fact that you're always working to make yourself better.
I mean, it wasn't appealing. It was appealing to me. I like to go somewhere where I can learn things and learn, especially back then when I was that young. I wanted to learn trades and get a career and do well in life. Be that provider that they talk about, and do all the things like how what a man's supposed to do. I want to do all of that, but I just didn't. I was afraid of that. Because I lived in up north in Chicago for a little while, so and then I moved down here to Texas, and it's I don't know. I guess I got whiplash.
Okay, I don't want to get too far off subject matter, because this ain't a Masonic channel.
Yeah, I got you. Well, what's up with what you got for your presentation today on creation? What are you trying to? What is the point? What you want to talk about today on creation?
I don't know. You got to be somebody talking. I mean, what? I can't debate you. Shit, we agree.
I don't. I'm just trying to get you to talk. Tell me something.
I am going to answer this other guy's question over here. He said, "How did 8 people repopulate the Earth and repopulate the entire world? And how did penguins get back to Antarctica? It never happened. And 8 people can't repopulate the planet. You need way more than 8 people."
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but as far as creation, the creation story is wrong. It's a lie. It's a made up story. Just like everybody's creation story is a made up story.
Isn't the first or the second in Genesis the telling of, because there's 2 tellings of creation in Genesis? Doesn't one of them come from the Zoroastrians and the Numa Elish?
There are some parallels to the creation stories, what they did. So I just did a video about this like last week. Actually, there's a video with a thumbnail that has Enuma Elish written on it. And so basically there are some parallels to the fact that according to the Enuma Elish, Marduk kills Tiamat with the wind. He shoves this evil wind down her throat, and that splits her in two. And so just like in Genesis, it talks about the wind separates the land and the fresh water and the salt water, so land can appear.
Yeah.
So in Enuma Elish it's a dragon though, so they take out the violence in the Genesis story. The violence is taken out. The God needing to fight somebody to create is taken out. So it has some similarities like that. So you can see where under Babylonian captivity, they utilized some of the Babylonian story, not so much the Zoroastrian version. It wasn't until later on they learned of the Zoroastrian, that God is just eternal and always being and created simply for creation.
Okay, so my train of thought was thinking that they learned some of it. They learned their religion or pieces of their religion when the Persians, because that would have been the religion of the Persians, correct? And
That's
I apologize. Yeah, I apologize.
It's a mixture of the Zoroastrian and the Babylonian when you're looking at the creation story.
Okay, and they would have got that from the Persians, am I right? When they got free from Israel and Babylon.
Yeah,
and
the Persian were the Zoroastrians.
Okay, and the same thing was with the flood story too, right? Because that comes from that's Babylonian, is it? The flood story.
That would have just been the Babylonians who also got it. Well, see, the flood story they got that from the Babylonians who got it from the Akkadians who got it from the Sumerians, and that's why you got the 4 different stories. You got Moses, Zoroaster, Atarhesis, and Utnapishtim. I mean Noah, not Moses.
Well, and see, because that's what the whole book of number one, I've been watching Justin on deconstruction. I refuse to call it the Old Testament anymore. I call it the Hebrew Bible, because for me, if you want to call the Hebrew Bible the Old Testament, then you should call then you got to add in the Book of Mormon too, since we're gonna start letting people add stuff to it. And it just really like propaganda. Like somebody had their foot on their neck, and they just was talking shit, so they wrote it down in their little comic book that they called the Bible. That's what it seemed like to me.
Yeah, you'd be right. That's how you can look at it that way. I wouldn't disagree with that. But for them, it was more. I mean, for us, it's mythological. For them, it was how they could explain the nature that was happening around them, and then how they could give themselves a history.
That's the argument that I brought it to you before too. That I think those words like soul and spirit and magic and like how you talking about these stories here, all of that had some function back in those times, because there was a whole lot of unknowns that they had back then that we do now. So that stories explain some of them stories explain some of that stuff, and some of it actually worked to the extent that they work. Like you ever heard stories, sir?
Ain't none of that shit work. What worked?
They made some kind of potion or some medicine or something, and then they prayed over it. But the prayer that they said took the right amount of time for the chemicals to lock up and do what it's supposed to do, so that way when you give it to you, it's medicine. But now with science, we know that the prayer part was unnecessary. Just wait the right amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, herbal medicine. They. I mean, and that's just science.
Yeah, and that's what I come
from plants.
Yes, sir. And that's what I think that the words like spirit and soul really were like some defunct ancient science that is no longer useful now that we have real science. And that's
it was never useful. It was just a placebo.
Placebo doesn't help though. Hey, what about this argument here for the NDEs? I always say, like, when people start talking about their near-death experiences, I always say, well, the doctors use placebo too. That's why they don't ever tell you that it wasn't God that saved your ass; it was them.
Yeah, it was always them. And as far as the NDE, that's a near-death experience. And
yes, sir.
Is exactly what it says: near death. You didn't die.
Yeah,
you just had some. you had some DMT released into your brain because your brain experienced some traumatic shit. So it sent you to La La Land, so you didn't know that you was experiencing this traumatic event.
Pain. Yes, sir.
And then because you got these preconceived notions in your mind, you see the light, and then you meet Jesus and you meet family members, or you go to hell. It's a bunch of made up bullshit that your mind created.
I agree. I was thinking more on the lines though that if it is real, then it shows there is no objective truth for waiting on the other side, because everybody go and see what they see. Because if it was objective truth, coach, somebody should come back and say we had it wrong. The other religion was right.
Yeah.
Somebody.
If it was objective truth, well, now you got people who go and say, "Oh, I was Muslim and then I saw Jesus," or "I was Christian and I saw Allah," or Muhammad came and told me I need to study Islam. You got people who say that, but at the end of the day, if it was objective, everybody would see the same damn thing.
Exactly. That's my point. And so you aware of people actually going to the other side, coming back and saying it was the other religion? Because I never heard nobody say that before.
I did a video about 2-3 weeks ago about it. It starts out with this guy saying that this black guy who was saying that everybody always come back and say they saw Jesus. He ain't never seen anybody come back and say they saw Allah or anything like that. So I took about 5 minutes to research that question, and I found videos of people saying they saw different stuff. Christian dude said that he was told that he needs to study Islam. It took all of 5 minutes to answer his question and find a video where a guy was making that claim. And I was like, that's what people do. They'll make them kind of statements without doing any research because they think it fits their narrative.
Well, I'm glad I asked you, because that's new to me. I never heard anybody doing it. But then the question becomes: is that guy making that claim credible? Because he could be just lying. Because that's perfect clickbait.
Well, anybody, yeah. I mean, they all could be lying, and they all just see it in their mind.
Yeah, they lie, honestly mistaken. There's so many different other variables you got to include in there before you can just believe them outright. And don't try to just like I tell Christians this, or any theists this all the time. I don't have a religion of disbelief. I just don't believe this shit because I don't think it's right. I don't think it's true. If you can show me some truth in this shit, I would believe it.
Yeah. If I had a near-death experience, I'm pretty sure I'd probably be cussing out every god, have all of them lined up, and be like, "Look at motherfucker, which one of y'all is real? Who created this shit?"
With the real Slim Shadys, please stand up.
Let me tell you something. This is some bullshit. But anyway, I'm about to get off here in a few minutes.
All right, yes, sir. Well, I enjoyed the conversation as always. Thank you. Have a good one, Coach.
You too. Mac time. Yeah. It's almost gym time. Almost gym time. You guys been going to the gym? Y'all been working out? Y'all been eating right? Y'all been doing better on your diet? So today is supposed to be leg day, legs and shoulders. I'm not sure. I don't feel like legs and shoulders today. I feel, because my calf feel a little funny. I don't want to aggravate it. So I think I'm going to go chest and bicep today. Got to get my weight, working on getting to that 55. Oh my gosh, we got dumb shit. People writing dumb stuff. Now, I don't really care about all this bottom shit that he wrote. It's this first shit that don't make sense. I know y'all can't see it, but I'm gonna tell you. He says, I think that trying to deconstruct the scriptures as they were originally given is stupider than stupid and dumber than dirt. No matter how brilliant the mind, and the truth may elude it, and with the absence of truth, the mind is deceived. Here is my sound basis for scripture. And then he gives like all these little scriptures and shit, which scriptures don't matter. True Christianity is not a religion. It's simply a loving way with a father and his family, the way of the one true God with his people. First of all, Jerry, nobody's trying to deconstruct Christianity away from what it originally meant. Truly deconstructing from Christianity is to look at the Bible for what it actually meant at the time frame it was written, because people today have made the Bible say what it didn't say back then. So when you read your Bible and it says love thy neighbor, you understand it in today's framework of loving your neighbor, meaning everybody. But at the time frame in the first century and beyond, loving your neighbor just meant loving the people of your own tribe. Your own tribe was considered your neighbors, not the other tribes. So it was very ethnocentristic. So you are the one who are believing in a Bible that is outside of what the original intent is, which makes you the one that is stupider than stupid and dumber than dirt when you accept the Bible for how it is translated or regurgitated today. But what helps you to deconstruct and walk away from this dumbass religion that is not about a loving father and his family, because the only people this God cares about is the Israelites and no one else. And this God who wants to genocide everybody else, this God who says that women ain't shit and you can have a slave and you can beat the shit out your slave and you can sacrifice your children and kill the people who are witches. Your God is not a loving God if you go back to how it originally is written and meant, not the way that you have contrived it into today. So again, you are believing in a way of the Bible that makes you stupider than stupid and dumber than dirt. Oh, look at Rupert. He always got to say something contrary. Wrong, coach. Your tribe is family. Your tribe is family, not your neighbors. That is not what that meant in first century. See, in first century and beyond, your family is your family. Your mama, your daddy, your brothers, your sisters, your uncles, your aunties, your cousins. The other members of your tribe who are not genetically related to you are your neighbors. That's what that meant back then. Oh my gosh. That's what the mind is the mind is a terrible thing to waste. It is so barely wasted sometimes. But all right, guys, I'm about to close this out for today. I know exactly, boss lady. Tell that mother to go to bed. Hey, make sure that y'all have y'all notifications on. I mean, just go check your notifications. Make sure that YouTube hasn't turned it off, or that that you got to make sure it says for lives or all that sort of thing. Because I know I saw where boss lady and others said that they didn't get a notification today. And see, Jerry dumb. I read everything that you wrote except for the scriptures, and then I read the last part, and then it just said it ended with people. It ain't say nothing else. Oh, so Jerry, you may not know this. I guess in the comments, it only going to show so much. So if you look at this, that's where it stops, Jerry. So meaning that you can't write a whole damn book. So if you did write something after that, I have no idea what you wrote. And I'm probably not going to be here long enough for you to rewrite the rest of it. You see what I'm saying? Come on back to San Antonio, boss lady. You know you want to come. You know you want to come to San Antonio. Boss lady, you know you want to come to San Antonio. Bring the cheering and come on back to San Antonio. All right. So I'm going to get out of here. It's gym time. So I appreciate everybody for being here. I'll be back tomorrow. Wait a minute. What's tomorrow? I know I got something this tomorrow evening. Yeah, that's tomorrow evening. Anyway. Yeah. So, so that means I got to go to the gym earlier. I still should be here tomorrow for some time frame. Sometime. And maybe somebody like Edward who wants to make a whole bunch of comments about my character, and Jerry will be willing to come on to the live tomorrow. She'll get started around 2-3 o'clock. Well, about 2 o'clock tomorrow, because I gotta go to the gym earlier tomorrow. So we got evening plans. One of the folks is in town this weekend. Well, this week. So anyway. Y'all have a great day. And always remember, you got to free your... Yeah, Central. Yes, Janelle. Central. For everybody. I'm in Central time zone. So we did down here in good old San Antonio, Texas. Yeah. So y'all have a great day. Wait a minute. No. I'm not taking anybody else. It's almost 5 o'clock. It's time for me to go. Y'all have a great day, and always remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations, and thank you for all the support of the channel. You guys are great. You're amazing. You're fantastic.